in the App Store or Play Store to explore the app for yourself. It's everything Chesapeake in your pocket.
Greetings from the Office of Family and Community Engagement, or as we like to call it, FACE. We are a
Vice Chair Mercer, would you please read the statement to bring us back into open session?
Chair Swigert, I move that the record shows that the only items discussed in the closed meeting were those specifically cited in the motion to convene into the closed meeting and those lawfully exempted from statutory meeting requirements.
Is there a second? Seconded by Dr. Walker. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members present voting yes.
Dr. Cotton, do you have items resulting from closed session?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. The first motion is for student number 1 to be expelled under the conditions discussed.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Ms. Scott. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Poole. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members present voting yes.
Dr. Cotton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The following administrative appointments are submitted for board approval. Ms. Charity W. Zelmer, Budget Development Coordinator, Virginia Beach City Public Schools, to Director of Budget, School Administration Building. Mrs. Jennifer L. Zagendorf, Assistant Principal, Butts Road Intermediate, to Interim Principal, Thurgood Marshall Elementary, and Dr. Michael J. Mustaine, Retired Principal, Chesapeake Public Schools, to Interim Assistant Principal, Butts Road Intermediate. Of course, the date of that to start is, I believe, November 1st. Madam Chair, this is up for board approval this evening.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. So moved. Moved by Mr. Mercer. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Lamonia. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members present voting yes.
We will now move on to the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. For tonight's invocation, we will observe a moment of silence. Afterward, I'll ask Board Member Dean to lead us in the pledge. Please stand as you are able. There being no awards and recognitions this evening, we will move on to the hearing of citizens. During their allotted time, speakers should observe our rules of decorum and know that expressions of concerns and criticism on matters of school policy and operations is welcome. While the speaker's own comments are welcome, they may not play pre-recorded messages. Dr. Smith, are there any citizens who have requested time to speak this evening?
We had 3 citizens requesting time to speak. We're checking, I believe 2 have been a no-show. I'm just checking to make sure that this gentleman right here is my speaker. I have 1 speaker. Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank those speakers who have signed up to request time to speak this evening. There are 2 ways that citizens can request time. They can call the clerk's office before 12 noon the day of the meeting, or sign up to speak prior to the start of the meeting in person. All in-person requests to speak must be submitted to the deputy clerk 5 minutes prior to the published meeting start time. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. Once your allotted time is over, we ask that you promptly exit the podium. You may choose to sit in the boardroom if seats are available, but standing or sitting on the floor will not be permitted, and you may not block the exit doors. We would also like to ask that you refrain from any behavior that disrupts the meeting, including the use of profanity, applause, cheering, or jeering. Dr. Smith, please call our speaker.
Yes, speaker number 3, come right on up to the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
My name is John Arnold. I'm from Chesapeake, Virginia. Was that everything to start with? Okay, sorry, it's been a while since I've done this. Good evening, esteemed members of the school board. I want to start by saying thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. My name is John Arnold. I'm here to discuss a pressing issue that directly impacts the safety and well-being of our students, the severe shortage of quality bus drivers. Right now, we are about 85 drivers short, creating a significant safety risk for our children. At my bus stop, we've experienced multiple substitutes leading to a troubling incident that required 2 separate meetings with the principal, one directly with the children on the bus and one with the parents. This occurred just one day after an alarming email from Chesapeake Public Schools about a near abduction at a school bus stop in the area. It's clear we cannot compromise on our students' safety. To address the shortage, I propose a multifaceted approach. Let's enhance our recruitment strategy by offering competitive pay, signing bonuses, and referral incentives for our school employees citywide. We can attract quality drivers who are dedicated to our students' safety. Second, we should explore community partnerships for fundraising efforts. Engaging local businesses, organizations, and individuals can provide financial support if funding is needed, as well as build a community network that values the safety of our children. Additionally, we must streamline the rollout of the transportation app and ensure that ID cards are issued promptly to all students, including 7th and 8th graders. I realize ID cards were only intended for sixth graders, but this process should have been established over the summer to avoid confusion and enhance safety. As we approach the upcoming school board elections next month, I urge you to prioritize transportation safety in your platforms. Our community deserves leaders who take proactive measures to safeguard our children. Let's work together to create a safe, reliable transportation system. And again, thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you.
This concludes our speakers for this evening.
Thank you for sharing your comments. Our practice is to receive information. However, we do not usually engage in dialogue, and that is our intent tonight. If appropriate and not already provided, someone from the superintendent's staff will evaluate your concern and provide a response. We will now move on to the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Ms. Scott. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Lamonia. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members present voting yes.
We are now moving to the information agenda. The first item is the proposed calendar options for the 25-26 school year. Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Chair Swigert. And believe it or not, it's time to start looking ahead to the 25-26 school year. Our Director of Planning, Policy, and Research, Mrs. Fallon Graham, is with us tonight, and she'll be sharing a draft of the proposed calendar options for next school year. Thank you, Mrs. Graham.
Good evening, Chair Swigert, Vice Chair Mercer, and members of the board. Tonight, I will be presenting 4 calendar options for the 25-26 school year. Earlier this year, we conducted focus groups and presented 4 calendar options to the Superintendent's Advisory Council, comprised of Teachers of the Year, to gather feedback on the design of each of the options. Next, we wanted to hear from our students. We visited the Student Council Association citywide meeting, and we asked them which option they would choose. Finally, our summer interns conducted a poll of our community members at the Get on the Bus event. They explained the 4 options and asked over 200 people which calendar option they preferred. This information was used to improve the options in order to present them to the community at large. Following this presentation, we will open a survey allowing the community to vote on their preferred calendar option. The voting window will open tonight, and it will close on October 17th, and we will present the results from this survey and proposed calendar at the next school board meeting. When creating our 4 calendar options, we ensured that we adhered to the Code of Virginia. The code requires that the standard school year shall be comprised of 180 instructional days, or a minimum of 990 instructional hours. In Chesapeake, Middle and high school students attend school 180 days, while elementary students do not attend the 180 days, but they surpass the 990-hour requirement. The 4 options were designed under several considerations of Chesapeake Public Schools, and it's our guiding principles. The principles are listed on the screen, but I would like to highlight a few. We seek to align our breaks with neighboring districts. All 4 options include a winter break and spring break that align with local school districts with published calendars for the 25-26 school year. We attempt to reopen schools after the first weekday following the New Year's Day observance. However, New Year's Day in 2026 falls on a Thursday. So if we return to school on a Friday, we'll be creating a one-day school event. So therefore, all options have a winter break in which students return to school on January 5th. At the high school level, we seek to balance our semesters with 90 instructional days and provide 2 teacher work days in between semesters to allow time for that mid-year switch on the 4x4 block schedule. All 4 options vary in how the semesters are distributed, but they come very close to the 90-90 split. All options also provide 2 teacher workdays in between semesters. Finally, we strive to embed additional planning time for our elementary teachers throughout the school year, and this was also achieved in all 4 options. With the advent of virtual instructional days, I'd like to remind that the Code of Virginia only allows virtual or remote learning days to count towards instructional time in the event that schools are closed due to inclement weather or extenuating circumstances. So this means if they're planned ahead, then they cannot count towards the instructional hours. We've also done away with a number of our early release days to reduce the burden of those early release days on our families, especially at the elementary school level. So we've only maintained early release days prior to 2-day Thanksgiving breaks and graduation days to facilitate the on-time arrival for our community. The 4 options come with differences in start dates and then the lengths of the holiday breaks. Option A1 and A2 will begin after Labor Day, while options B1 and B2 start before Labor Day. Options A1 and B1 have shorter holiday breaks. Options A2 and B2 have lengthened holiday breaks. Those who participate in the survey that will open tonight will be asked whether they would like to begin school before or after Labor Day, and then they will be asked whether they prefer longer or shorter breaks. They will be able to preview each of the calendar options and choose their most preferred options out of the 4. Even though we have 4 options to present, they all have a few things in common. All options include 177 instructional days for elementary students and 180 instructional days for secondary students. They also include a return from winter break on January 5th, 2026, 3 elementary-only teacher workdays, 2 workdays in between semesters, and 2 early release days prior to the last day of school. The 4 academic calendar options differ based on start dates, holiday duration, and end dates. Post-Labor Day options begin on September 2nd, while pre-Labor Day options start on August 25th. Pre-Labor Day options include a 4-day Labor Day weekend as required by the Code of Virginia. The condensed options have 2-day Thanksgiving breaks following an early release day, while the lengthened options have 3 full days off. The post-Labor Day condensed option A1 has an 8-day winter break, while all other options have a 10-day winter break. The pre-Labor Day condensed option, which is B1, offers a 5-day spring break for students, whereas all other options provide a 6-day spring break for our students. Option B2 also includes a 6-day spring break for our staff as well. Each option schedules graduations on consecutive days that align with the weekend to accommodate travel. So again, the survey will be open to all stakeholders beginning tonight, and it will stay open through Thursday, October 17th. The survey will be posted on our website and shared with our families through our district-wide communication channels. This presentation, as well as a draft of each option, will be linked into the survey to assist participants with their decision. And then we're going to present the feedback to you at the next school board meeting on October 21st. May I answer any questions at this time?
Dr. Walker?
This isn't a question, but I did just want to say this is so organized and so, I think, easy for people to read, so thank you for putting so much effort into this. And I also just really want to encourage the public to please take that survey. We really do take that into consideration, and we want to do what works the best for most people. So please take the time. It sounds like it's pretty short. Am I right?
It's very short.
Just a couple questions. That will really help us when we're looking at this. Thank you.
Mr. Mercer?
Can you go back to that one before the last one, I think has the end dates?
Yes.
Okay. Is it coming? You got it coming up? Okay, there you go, right there.
There you go.
Okay. I'm noticing on that there isn't a whole lot of difference in the end dates.
Right.
And where does that made up? Is it in the Thanksgiving being 3 full days? Is it it's in winter break being 10 days instead of 8 days? Is that where we're taking the thing? Because we're still ending, for the most part, the second or third week in June.
Yeah, it will come in by the Thanksgiving break either being 3 or 2 days. And also you'll see that with spring break as well. Most spring breaks are 6 days in these options, where one of them is 5, and that's in our condensed section.
Well, I do want to reiterate what Dr. Walker just said, and that is, please take this survey. I have said that if we're going to change, I want to see it overwhelming. So far, the surveys in the past have showed that about 60 to 65% of the people who respond to those surveys say they want to start after Labor Day, even though all the other systems are doing that. And I'm going to abide by what people feel like is the majority rule on this. I know when they did that, get on the bus, that it was overwhelming as well, about those same numbers, to say we want to start after Labor Day. So I don't want anybody, and I think we have a system when you take this survey where we know you can't gild the lily, you can't vote 5 times on that.
Yes, yeah, we have a ballot stuffing.
Yeah, we have a ballot stuffing way
Yes.
that we know when it's coming.
Yes.
But we do want to hear from people. We want to hear one vote, one person, but we want to hear from them, their viewpoint. I just will say that year, if we do get to the point where we have Labor Day, going to school before Labor Day, that is going to be one short summer for whatever the students and teachers are.
Yes, yeah, when
If
that
the
happens, there
transition
would
year
be.
is going to be a tough one.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right.
I see no additional questions at this time. Thank you, Ms. Graham. The last item on the information agenda this evening deals with the recruiting and retaining of quality educators. Dr. Austin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. With us this evening, we have Mr. Michael Bailey, our Director of Human Resources. He's going to provide an update on some recruitment and retention efforts that have been conducted by his staff, our HR team. And specifically, he's going to be providing some updates related to recent legislation that was passed by the General Assembly to address licensure, and the department recently issued guidance to that effect, and we want to make sure the board's aware of this opportunity. So, Mr. Bailey, thank you for being here this evening.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Austin. Good evening, Madam Chair Swigert, Vice Chair Mercer, members of the school board, Dr. Cotton and staff. This evening, I would like to outline several innovative strategies Chesapeake Public Schools is currently implementing to address the teacher shortage, and highlight a new opportunity from the Virginia Department of Education to hire teachers with a local eligibility license. At present, Chesapeake Public Schools has a total of just over 3,000 budgeted teacher positions. We currently have a 98.7 fill rate, leaving a 1.3% vacancy rate. Despite this, we face shortages in 23 elementary, 11 middle, and 4 high school teacher positions. Addressing this gap continues to be a priority. To help retain our educators, we are focusing on two key areas: professional development and creating a supportive work environment. This includes mentorship programs for new teachers, coaching support, continuous learning opportunities, and tuition reimbursement. Additionally, we are maintaining an inclusive culture and providing competitive salaries, benefits, wellness programs, and access to employee assistance programs. These factors and more led to Chesapeake Public Schools being ranked in the top 3 employers in Virginia by Forbes magazine in 2023. On the recruitment front, we are engaging in a variety of job fairs, partnering with universities, and targeting diverse candidates to increase our candidate pool. Our Grow Your Own programs focus on recruiting not just students through the Teachers for Tomorrow program, but also current employees through the CPS Career Ladder for instructional teaching associates. To support these recruitment efforts, we continue to collaborate with the Department of Communications to develop and maintain the CPS Careers page, which serves as a hub to attract potential candidates. It provides clear information about open positions, employee testimonials, and our school culture, all designed to engage candidates and simplify the application process. We've also broadened our reach through various recruitment events, such as the CPS Walk-In Wednesday job fairs that took place here at our new school administration building over the last 6 weeks. We are participating in numerous university education fairs, and we are coordinating our very own CPS student-teacher meet and greet hiring events. Our presence at university job fairs at William & Mary, ODU, JMU, Virginia State, Longwood, Liberty, and Norfolk State universities has also helped us to attract the new talent. Our CPS Career Ladder program for Instructional Teaching Associates, or ITAs, has been a key part of our strategy. Currently, 22 ITAs are filling teacher vacancies while working towards their teaching licenses. Once they complete the necessary requirements, they transition into full-time teaching roles, helping to reduce the impact of teacher shortages. Additionally, we've partnered with the iTeach program, which is an online, self-paced, alternative teacher certification program approved by the Virginia Department of Education. This low-cost, flexible option allows our employees to pursue a teaching license while keeping their current job, pay, and benefits, which results in a 10-year renewable teaching license. In order to continue to enhance the options available for teacher recruitment, I would like to highlight the new Virginia Department of Education 1-year local eligibility license, which provides aspiring teachers with up to 1 year to meet licensure requirements. This non-renewable license offers flexibility to help fill teaching positions in our district, while candidates complete their statutory training and praxis testing requirements. While the local eligibility license program has been approved by the Virginia Department of Education, each individual license application must be approved by the superintendent and school board chairperson. Proposed new hires utilizing this new license option will be included on our personnel report for full board approval. Let's take a look at the eligibility criteria for the 1-year local eligibility license for an elementary general education teacher. The first eligibility criterion is that the candidate must hold a bachelor's degree. This ensures a foundational level of education for aspiring teachers. The candidate must be within 15 semester hours of completing the required content coursework. This can be achieved either by finishing 2 college courses or by passing the elementary education multiple subjects praxis test. Candidates must also complete statutory training required by the Virginia Department of Education, which includes CPR, first aid, AED, child abuse, and dyslexia modules. Finally, an offer of employment must be secured before receiving the one-year local eligibility license. The requirements for the secondary content areas are the same as the elementary level. One major difference is that they just need to pass the praxis test and take the praxis test within 90 days of hire as a teacher. All other requirements are the same. By utilizing the new one-year local eligibility license and leveraging partnerships like iTeach, we're broadening our recruitment pool and providing more opportunities for professionals from various backgrounds to transition into teaching. In conclusion, our approach to addressing the teacher shortage is built on innovation, partnerships, and flexibility. From university collaborations and job fairs to grow your own programs and alternative licensure pathways, we are committed to ensuring that Chesapeake Public Schools remains an attractive place for quality educators to work and grow. Thank you for allowing me to share these updates. Are there any questions?
Mr. Mercer has a question for you.
Okay.
I think this is a wonderful opportunity in a lot of places, but I have a question about Chesapeake. I have a question about Chesapeake's situation. 23 elementary positions open. How many of those are special ed?
A good number of those are.
Well, and that's the question I'm asking, because the iTeach really doesn't, if I'm reading this right, iTeach doesn't apply for special education, right?
So iTeach does apply to special
Okay,
education,
good.
but the one-year local
One-year
eligibility
local doesn't.
license does not.
Yeah,
You're correct.
and that's, okay, that's what I meant to say. I'm sorry. Thank you. You always keep me straight, Mr. Bailey. So it really doesn't apply to our needs. Chesapeake's in better shape than most places.
Correct.
And that has a lot to do with Dr. Austin and you and your staff, as well, and your recruitments that you're already doing. I think it's great to have this in the toolbox, but I would rather, get people who are already qualified. And I think that's what you're doing anyway. And where we have to, we look at this.
Yes, sir. I will mention that we do have a number of folks who are filling a teaching vacancy in the role of an ITA, and a number of those folks are going to be eligible for this one-year license, so they will actually be able to be hired as a full-time teacher.
Well, that's been a success story where we've had people that have been not even in the classroom, but other places, even cafeteria and other places, and have seen the call to teach and
Yes,
have
sir.
been given the opportunity, and that's a tremendous thing to be
Absolutely.
able to do.
This is just one more tool that we can use in our bag of tricks. One of the criteria is that no more than 5% of your total teaching staff can receive this license.
I saw that on there, yeah. But I just don't want somebody to look at this and say, well, we're dummying down our standards and we're doing it. This is a tool that's going to be used statewide, where there's some even more serious shortages than we have in Chesapeake. I mean,
Yes,
we need teachers, don't get me wrong, but y'all have done a remarkable job of recruiting this year.
Thank you.
We have a few more questions, but before I get to those, Dr. Austin would like to weigh in.
One thing I wanted to add, Mr. Mercer and Mr. Bailey, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we did an initial assessment of our students, of our teachers who are in these positions, I think it's 12 candidates would qualify for this license, and that was at a cursory glance. So that'll give these individuals the opportunity to be a licensed teacher for a year, be able to be compensated accordingly, and us also be able to make sure that we have a licensed teacher in the classroom over the course of the year.
Oh, I'm not against it. I just didn't want people to think that we were that there was a desperation feel for this going on.
Dr. Walker?
Yes. Hi, Mr. Bailey.
Hello.
I do have just a couple questions. Just to make sure I'm clear, because I have people ask me about this all the time, because I do think that there is kind of an appetite for people wanting to career switch. And so just to clarify, with the elementary license, it said for secondary they had to plan to take the praxis within 90 days. Is there a timeline for the praxis requirements for the elementary licensure?
believe it depends on the path that they're taking. Elementary, there's a number of ways that you can meet the guidelines. One is strictly through coursework, and one is a combination of praxis and coursework. So,
Gotcha. So technically speaking, if the coursework is completed, there's a chance they could qualify for this 1-year license without the test, but then assuming at some point they're going to need it, right?
So there is a path to do it without taking the praxis test.
Oh, okay.
If they do it strictly through coursework, but we would like to see them within 2 courses of completion in order to get the local eligibility license.
Okay, got it. And then student teaching is removed from the requirements then? And
That's
that kind of
correct.
serves in
That's
lieu
correct.
of the student teaching? Okay,
Right.
got it.
So they would be assigned a strong mentor to work with them their first year of teaching.
Yeah, okay. Great, thank you.
Sure.
Ms. Dean?
I was just curious if we are tracking or taking a look at the vacancy percentages from a year-over-year perspective. I'm just curious if the percentages you shared tonight are in line with, what we saw last year, the past 3 years, or if we're starting to have a
Good question. Thank you. So we are doing a little bit better than we were last year. Starting first day of school, we had about 37 full-time teacher vacancies, and it was about 59 the year before. So doing a little bit better.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I believe that's all the questions that we have tonight. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
There being no items on the action agenda tonight, we will move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Cotton.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Just have some recognitions we want to share for this month. We have several recognitions for October. October is Disability History Awareness Month and Bullying Prevention Month. We will also be recognizing School Lunch Week. As you all know, you took your picture with your apple this evening for the Crunch heard round the world, and that's October 14th through the 18th. And we have National School Bus Safety Week, October 21st to the 25th, and during which time we will certainly highlight our amazing school nutrition and transportation employees. As a reminder, our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October 17th. This is a joint meeting with the City Council, and the meeting will be held here in this building, and I look forward to seeing you all there. With that, it's time for my spotlight this evening. It's hard to believe that we are already a full month into the 24-25 school year. I want to say thank you to all the people who have had a hand in making it a successful start to the year, and I'm excited to share the great things that have happened in the district over the past few weeks. After several months of waiting, Crestwood Intermediate School students began the first stage of sending their science experiments to space. Last school year, 5 Crestwood Intermediate students were selected to have their student-designed experiment on beet germination and microgravity conducted aboard the International Space Station. Recently, the students met with their former science teacher, Mr. Weaver, to prepare the seeds to be sent to space so they can test the effects on their growth. We are so excited to see the results of the experiment, and we are so proud of our budding scientists. Some of our high school students spent an afternoon taking their talents to the ballpark. Journalism students from Deep Creek and Great Bridge attended Media Day with the Norfolk Tides at Harbor Park in Norfolk. Students got to practice their photography skills during a live game and got to explore the stadium for the best angles and photo opportunities. It looks to me like they took some pretty good action shots, and thank you to Jostens for organizing this fun event, for our journalism teachers for providing students the opportunity to participate in such a great hands-on learning activity, and of course we've got some budding members of our communication staff there in the works. From future journalists to future chefs, our experiential learning opportunities have extended to the opening of the Peak Cafe locating right here at the School Administration Building. Recently, the student-led culinary arts team hosted a sneak peek event, allowing our employees to learn about what the Peak Cafe has to offer, meet the culinary team, and get some delicious samples, our favorite part. The Peak Cafe is a student-led culinary program that is designed to give our students work-based learning experience and learning how to run a food service program. We're very excited to see this program grow as they begin operation, which, by the way, starts tomorrow. Not that I'm keeping track, and I know our employees here are especially excited for Tuesdays and Thursdays, so they can get more of our students amazing food. And of course, board members, thank you for supporting this great initiative for our students. Another fun event that happened recently took place at Carver Intermediate with Rock Your School Day, a spirit day that encourages students and staff to dress up like rock stars. As a part of a large initiative designed by Get Your Teach On, Dr. Brousseau and her staff put on the event to bring excitement and enthusiasm into the classroom. It was so cool to see the pictures of showcasing our students and staff and their creative outfits, and I can only imagine how excited the students were to see their teachers dress up like their favorite rock stars. Kudos to Dr. Brousseau and her staff for getting the students and staff engaged in such a creative way and for taking excitement for education to the next level. The Office of Family and Community Engagement, or FACE, recently hosted a resource carnival dedicated to engaging our district's families. The resource carnival was designed to showcase all of the resources that the school district has to offer for our families and featured food trucks, arts and crafts, the Oscar Smith Middle School Choir, and more. Thank you to Oscar Smith Middle School for hosting the event and to the FACE team for putting on another great event dedicated to serving our families and the community. Another great opportunity to connect with our community also occurred last week at our first Superintendent's Community Engagement Council meeting of the school year. I was joined by members of the board, city officials, and numerous other community leaders. The council meeting featured legislative and General Assembly updates, as well as presentations from Dr. Freddie Larkin and Dr. Beth Pallister on the modern classroom, and Mr. Paul Wilson on the Region 2 Recovery School program. I'd like to thank all of our members of the City Council, here for their support and attendance, especially our partners at Train, who generously sponsor the event each year. Our next Community Engagement Council meeting will be held in February. Madam Chair and board members, that completes my spotlight for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Cotton. Last on our agenda this evening is board member items. Does any board member have an item to bring before the group? Mr. Mercer?
Sure. Let me see. What do I have to bring before? That tomorrow is our chairman's birthday, and happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Okay? Can we give her a hand? Hey. Told you it wasn't going to be political.
With that, I will call this meeting adjourned.